There's a voice in my ink.
It's not permanent, it's just until you die.
It's a scary thought.
Tittiesntoos.
Welcome to Titties and Twos. I'm Alicia and with me is Monica.
Hello.
And today we are going to be talking about meanings with tattoo and why we ascribe so much meaning when it doesn't necessarily always have to have meaning.
Yeah. Your tattoo doesn't have to have meaning.
No.
Yeah, I think I want to talk about it, especially I've realized a lot of people put restrictions on themselves when it comes to tattoos for I don't know what reason. They make restrictions up for themselves for some reason. And yeah, one of the restrictions is that they believe they have to have this very deep and meaningful reason to get a tattoo. And I don't necessarily, obviously it's up for debate and everybody does their own thing. But yeah, I don't think you need to have meaning in your tattoo. It doesn't have to depict meaning,
Yes.
Especially.
Yes.
I think all tattoos have meaning,
Correct.
definitely. But it doesn't have to visually, you don't have to see or describe the meaning in how the tattoo looks at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people who sacrifice the aesthetics of the tattoo, so the prettiness of the tattoo, for the meaning, because they want to add a lot of symbols or that and that and that. And then at the end of the day, it's not really a visually pleasing tattoo.
No.
And tattoos are visual. It's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be nice to look at.
Yes.
Yeah, so to sacrifice the prettiness of your tattoo just to depict this meaning to other people, I feel like is a bit, not necessarily.
I think what people tend to forget is that the meaning is not necessarily like when I walk out there, I've got a lot of tattoos. People aren't going to look at me and say, oh, that's the meaning of that. Oh, that's the meaning. You're not going to see that. You are going to see artwork. I know the meaning.
Yes.
And the meaning is for me.
Yeah.
Not for anybody else. If I want to share that meaning with people, great.
Yeah.
But the reality is, at the end of that, it is for me.
Yeah.
And
So
what
personal.
I take from it and what I have ascribed to it. And some of it, there's absolutely no meaning. I mean, I have got
You
a
just
little
find it.
cat here with this butt there. And to me, it's because of just how cats are. Like,
Yeah.
they are literally in your face. I remember the one time, I was in a meeting and just sitting and my cat jumps up and I'm like, oh gosh, and I'm trying to, the cameras are on and I'm trying to like fix things and all of that. And what does this cat do? First thing, butt up in the camera. Of course, that is
Yeah.
just the way that they are. But to me, that is my inside giggle,
Yeah.
when I look at it.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to know that when they look at it.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of tattoos. It doesn't, you don't have to do it for anybody else. Nobody else needs to understand why you're getting tattoos or why you're getting those tattoos, why you're picking to put it there. They don't need to know that. You can do whatever you want at the end of the day. It is your body and it is your choice, and you don't have to justify it to anybody or restrict yourself in any way.
But also, there's also beauty in those that do have meaning.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain tattoos that you might get that's about remembering somebody, remembering something, remembering a time, maybe a transition that you went through. And that's beautiful. I mean, the reason why you're getting this is to remember that moment in time for yourself. But that shouldn't restrict you from just getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, guys, you have no idea how amazing it is behind that needle. It's like, just do it.
Yeah, and how rewarding it is to get it afterwards, or to have it. I think for me, the meaning of a tattoo doesn't have anything to do with how it actually looks at the end of the day. To me, when I look at tattoos, I remember who I was at that time and what I was going through in that time. And the image doesn't necessarily reflect that at all. It's just a pretty thing I saw when I wanted it on me. But I still do have a lot of meaning connected to it for myself. And I think it's such a beautiful way to keep track of yourself.
Yes.
That's weird. It's a weird way to put it. But yeah, just to remember who you were and where you came from and how you changed. Even tattoos that I think now I'm like, oh, I don't think I would have picked it for myself now as the person who I am now. But at that time, I remember who I was and why I picked it. And just that period in your life is sort of wrapped up in this tattoo, and it's a beautiful way to just remember your own journey and your own progress as a human being. So yeah, it's beautiful.
You see, I look at it in the way of one day when I'm old is going to be 69, I'm going to be this granny vibe with short, shocking hair, and I want to show off my tattoo still at that point, because what I went through to get to that point in my life, there's so much connected to each one. Yeah. At that point in time, there was something that was beautiful for me that I wanted to imprint it on myself for all eternity.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to look at it. I know there's a lot of times, I know we've spoken about this, where I don't see my tattoos anymore. But then when I consciously make that decision to look at them and to just kind of like stare at them, to be able to look at it and just remember that moment of when you got it, what you were going through, what you felt, that's beautiful. Yeah. That is, I think that's why a lot of people are looking at things and saying, you know, it's not about having things in life, but it's about the experiences that you have. Those are the things that you remember. You know, I can have a bottle of water and I can have another bottle of water later. I'm not going to remember the taste difference in them because it was water. But having the experience of, you know, the different tattoos of what you have and what you remember with it, that is what you remember, and what the stories that you're going to be telling, whether it is between your friends, whether it is if you've got kids, to be able to sit there and have them listen to the stories that you have to tell.
Yeah, and what a beautiful way to connect to people. If I know a lot of people's I think a lot of people who tend to get tattooed are more introverted people, and they don't necessarily want to invite conversation. But it's a beautiful way to connect to people, and then just to tell your stories. And even if you don't want to go too personal, but you can just you can share something about yourself with another person, and that in itself is beautiful. I remember I did face tattoos on him, and he messaged me a while later. Obviously, we did a whole discussion on if it's a good idea to get face tattoos or not, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but we realized he is a sane person and he's making the right choices for himself. I remember afterwards, he sent me a message and just saying like he loves it, and people are treating him so much differently because of the face tattoos, and not in a bad way. They all want to know, like, why did you decide on face tattoos, and what job did you do that allows it? And he just says he loves it. He just loves the way people are accepting him and connecting with him. So I think that is beautiful about tattoos in itself. It doesn't even the image itself doesn't have to have the meaning that you want.
Yes.
And I think people restrict themselves a lot because of that. Like I said earlier as well. I think because certain images does become a bit overused in tattooing. And usually it is the tattoos that has like a very generic meaning to it, like clocks for time and compass for just having direction in life. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Those things do make beautiful tattoos. I think that's also why it's a classic imagery. But then it's easy to fall in that trap of just having the meaning and then just getting tattoos that a lot of other people have also thought of. I think if you allow yourself to get more personal with the tattoos, you're going to end up with more creative and more beautiful tattoos at the end of it, and more unique, especially. More unique to you and your story.
But also, for me, it's being able to use you as the artist to draw what I think in my head.
Yeah.
I've got an idea of what I want. I know I'm a dark child at heart, and I always say to you, like, make it gothic, make it this. And you manage to bring that out in what you design.
Yeah.
And I think that is ultimately what people need to think about, is what is it that you want? And being able to freely chat with your tattoo artist to get what you want.
Yeah.
The meaning that you assign to that then comes.
Yeah.
But it's not about looking at something and saying, oh, okay, well, it has to be specifically, precisely 100% like this, otherwise the meaning is lost.
Yeah.
No, the meaning is attached once you see that beauty that you have in your mind being pulled through.
I also think to have more meaningful tattoos, well, obviously tell me your thoughts on this, but I think there needs to be a level of knowing yourself to have that sense of meaning in your tattoos. I think a lot of people struggle to decide what they want to get because maybe they just haven't accepted themselves completely, or they don't know themselves that deeply. And I think that's why a tattoo journey is so exciting, because you start maybe off with something simple or something meaningful, and then the more you get to know yourself, the more you loosen up a little bit, and then you get more fun tattoos and more exciting tattoos, more tattoos that celebrates who you are.
Yes.
So yeah, if you just loosen the reins a bit and just get a bunch of fun tattoos, there's a lot of things to discover about yourself in that way as well.
But I think there's also a lot of cultural limitations that we also need to think about.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people come from cultures where it's a very big taboo still. Still to this day. I remember I had students in my class discussing the tattoos, and I remember the first time I walked into that class, their eyes were like this because here's this lecturer with, you know, all these tattoos. And it was a very nice way for them to connect with me because we could talk about tattoos.
Yeah.
And I remember them sitting there and they were talking, and one girl was like, "Yo, no, my mom said you should come over." And she's like, "No, I can't come over. Your mom's going to see all my tattoos."
Yeah.
She's like, "But it's okay." She's like, No, I don't want, you know, there to be any issues. We've got a lot of cultures in South Africa, and because of the differences in the cultures, there's a lot of places where it's a big taboo. A lot of the, I will say our boomers, are now, in certain extents, they are a little bit more comfortable because I think their kids have brought it to a point where they are comfortable with themselves. But they still, I mean, if I just look at my mom, oh my gosh, like, there is no way. Like, even if you say to her, tomorrow you will never have to worry about another problem in your life, you just need to get one tattoo. There's no way. No way that she would do it. Because that is just something that from her upbringing, that's stuck. It's a no-go. So there's a lot of that also. Now, to come back to what you said about, you know, if you don't know yourself, I tend to agree with you. Because when you start with this journey, you might go and just choose something that's very generic. And that's okay. Listen, don't get us wrong. We're not trying to diss your choice of what you get.
And everybody's approach to tattooing is obviously different and unique, and that's amazing.
But it might be at that point in time, you know you want a tattoo, but you don't know yourself or allow yourself to be you 100%, which means you'll go in, you'll see something and say, oh, this looks nice, I'm going to get this, versus walking in there and saying, oh gosh, skulls, yes, anything skulls, ravens, yes. I know, like, I don't know how many skulls I've got on my body, but it's a lot.
It's not enough.
No, never. but you don't walk in there with that type of excitement to go, this is what I want, what can you do with it? And I think that is sometimes where that self-discovery for yourself needs to come in. And I know we've spoken about that in our body image and how you need to be looking at yourself when getting tattoos. But it really is about you discovering you. And what it is.
And allowing yourself to be yourself.
That whole journey is, guys, it's not an easy journey discovering who you are, because you've literally been told from the get-go that whatever you're thinking is either wrong, or you need to do better, or you need to do it in this way, or you need to change the way you are, or society is telling you you need to be like this. And now through all of these filters and
you
these worldviews,
who are you actually?
Correct. And what you like and what you are comfortable with. So that meaning that you are so desperately looking for in a tattoo, that is your meaning that you are assigning
inside
to
yourself.
Correct. I mean, I'll take this small one that I've got here. It's my father's signature. To me, this is something that keeps him, for me, close. I mean, I look at it and then I just smile because God knows I tried to replicate this when I was younger, and there was no way in life that I could get. Guys, it's squiggles.
Yeah.
You tell me if you can get this right. And every single time, I mean, it took me forever to try and figure out what it actually said, because he has that typical doctor's writing. But to me, that meaning there is something that I hold close about my dad and who my dad was to me.
Yeah.
When you see it, you're just going to see a signature or squiggles, and you're not really going to know what is assigned to it.
Yeah.
Does that make it any less? No.
Yeah.
But am I comfortable in wearing this? 100%.
Yes. That's beautiful.
And that is why it's important about you figuring out you. And it's okay. It's okay that it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, when we are discovering ourselves, there's a lot of things. I mean, we spoke about boundaries in one of our episodes. There's a lot of things where you're going to have to put in boundaries. Things where people are going to have this little napping in your ear of telling you why it's not good enough or why it's not a good idea. Or, you know what? Literally, all the haters just go. Like, there's other words that I can use, but I'm not using it. There's so much that we need to try and find for ourselves. And it's a battle, and I call it a battle because from a get-go, when somebody snipped those wings from your back, it started becoming a battle of you having to rediscover yourself.
Yeah.
And you having to find your meaning for yourself in your life.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think it's also about realizing tattooing is for you. It's only for you. It doesn't matter what other people think about it. I'm sorry. And you're just realizing that you can do whatever you want. It's your body, it's your choices, it's your life. And just breaking free of those boundaries and those limitations that society puts on you. And it is difficult because you do, make yourself other. But that's the beauty in it. Just being like, maybe I am different and maybe I am not what people thought I was or expected me to be. But I'm okay with that. I'm going to be me and I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yes.
And then just keep growing from that. Oh, it's very rewarding.
It is. It is. And I think, you mentioned earlier on a lot of people that get tattoos are introverts. Yes. But the reality also about that is in as much as a lot of us are introverts, there's a voice in my ink that I don't necessarily always have to say.
Yeah.
People have got these stereotypical views of, oh, you've got the sleeve, oh, so you like this, or you've got this, or you like this. And, I've seen a lot of change with people accepting it compared to maybe 20 years ago.
Definitely.
And things like that. But even still now, we're in 2025, even still now, we still have it as a taboo.
Yeah.
We still have people judging other people because of it.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thought, having to think that you're being judged because you love something about your body and you want to show it off.
Yeah.
But it's that meaning that you've assigned to whatever it is that you're getting. That is yours, and own it.
Yeah.
Have it. It's yours to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. Beautiful. I think one of the most exciting things for me about being a tattoo artist is I literally see these journeys unfold in front of my eyes.
Yes.
I see when a client comes for their first tattoo. I'm always so excited when someone just gets their first tattoo. It's a big step to take. They're obviously always a bit nervous, but then just seeing them develop and get hooked a bit. And I don't think it's about getting hooked to tattoos itself. It's about that journey and discovering yourself and realizing like, oh, but I'm still the same person even if I have this tattoo.
Yes.
And the people, my loved ones, still accept me even if I have this tattoo.
It's very liberating.
Exactly. And it's so beautiful. I love just watching it. I have a few clients who, they tell me like, no, they're just going to get one a year, or they have some sort of boundary for themselves. And then eventually I realized like, oh, but it's not here. Yeah. But okay, you're back. And then they come back and back and back, and then they just go a bit bigger and bigger as well. And it's just so exciting to see them also just embracing it and embracing themselves and embracing the change that it brings. It's so beautiful. And then, it breaks my heart to think that people have these limitations for themselves with something that is so fun and so exciting. And it's supposed to be fun. It doesn't have to be that serious. At the end of the day, we're all going to anyway die. So I used to say, your tattoos, it's not permanent, it's just until you die. But we are all going to die, and just do what you want to do. Get the tattoos. If it doesn't make sense to anybody else, so what? Do
exactly.
It. Yeah.
That is, and I think that ties in with your connection, what you were speaking about earlier on. If people really want to know, they'll ask. It will come up in a conversation of where they will ask you, what is this tattoo about? Can you maybe tell me, why did you decide on this? And whether you are going to say, oh, it's just something that I saw and I liked, or whether there's actually a story behind it.
I think that's the beauty of it as well, is that you can decide how much you want to disclose.
Yes.
You don't have to go into a whole deep, meaningful thing. You can just say, oh, I liked it, and move on. If you want to go deeper into it. I mean, I think about my blackout all the time. People ask me, is it a cover-up, or why did I do it? And I mean, the reasons for me deciding to do it, it was obviously a difficult choice. My arm is completely back now. But I mean, just the personal growth I went through this whole process.
Yeah.
And if I look at myself before that and now, I've changed. So anyway, when people ask me that, I don't go into that deepness of it. I just say like, oh, I had a bunch of ugly tattoos underneath and I wanted to cover it. And that's the short story of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, underneath that, there's so much more that happened. And I can choose if I want to go deep and personal with it or not. So I just give them a quick answer and move on. Tattoos are just beautiful and personal. Yeah.
And I think something that is strange, like, in society, is people almost expect you to have to be answerable to their questions. The fact that you want to know about my tattoo, it's my personal journey. What I decide to share with you is my choice. And I think it shouldn't put you off of wanting to get something, because what if I tell people, oh, I just got it because I liked it and now everybody's going to judge me? Let them judge you. Damn it. That is what you like. Get what you like. Because that is what is going to make you happy. That is what is going to make you feel more confident, or make you feel, I'm happier in my skin of what it looks like and what I've got here and what's going on. It's about you in that. And I know it sounds so selfish, but that's not what it's intended for.
I think people should be a little bit more selfish, to be honest.
Yes, but I think it's more about focusing on your own growth, your own happiness. And it's not about we've got selfish people, and then we've got a little bit of, I'm going to take some things for me now. That is not being selfish. That is about you standing up, setting a boundary, and being who you want to be.
I think a lot of cultures or our society today raises people to be very people-pleasing.
Yes.
And you have to put others before you. You have to keep in mind what other people think of you. You have to fit in the whole time.
Oh, yes.
If you don't, then you're wrong and you're bad. And then you're just getting to a point where you realize, like, yes, that's a very toxic system to be part of.
Yes.
And just wanting to break free from that. And then actually allowing yourself to break free from that.
Yes.
And knowing that you are still going to be yourself, you're going to be there for yourself. You don't need other people's permission.
Correct.
To do what's right for you.
Correct. I mean, I know a lot of people that knows me will say, like, okay, but how can you say this? I mean, you had your tattoos for so many years. Yes, I did. I did. I did.
Crazy.
I remember, like, just before I would go on holiday, then I would tell you, okay, now I need to try and cover this up and, this and this. And yes, it was because of the way that I was brought up. It was very conservative, very religious, and there was a very strict sense of what you're allowed and not allowed to do. And for me, I looked at it as, in order not to upset my parents, I'd rather hide it than having to show it and there's going to be this whole outburst.
Conflict, yeah.
Correct. But I mean, circumstances changed, a lot of things changed, and the circumstance under which my mom then saw this was obviously she had other things on her mind versus having to focus on this. And I remember my brother and my sister, like the first 2 days, like, has she asked you? I'm like, nothing.
She didn't even say anything when she saw it.
Nothing. Like, literally, she saw me, and I gave her a hug, and we literally went to the hospital to kind of go and take care of things there. And, like, by that evening, I mean, a lot of things happened, and then they were like, has she asked you? And I'm like, no. Next day, my brother and my sister's like, has she asked you? I'm like, no, nothing. And, like, by the Wednesday, she just came into the room, and she's like, I know we haven't spoken about your tattoos, but I've got just maybe one question for you about it. And now I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for this. This has been a very hard period, and, I know we're dealing with other things, but let's hear it. I'm going to be open towards this. And the first thing that she asked me is like, were you in pain? Were you in a point where you were hurting so much that you needed to...
Like emotional pain.
Emotional pain, in terms that you needed to get tattoos. And, my heart broke at that point in time, because considering everything that was going on, that was what she was focusing on.
Yeah.
Not the religious side, not the, the conservative side of things. That was her focus. And I can tell you one thing, the moment that she knew and that we had that discussion, it was the most liberating feeling that I've ever had to not have to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
To be able to freely, when I walk with her or go and visit her or whatever, to be freely who I am. And not being looked at and being judged, but it's like, this is now who you are.
Yeah.
Look, I am still being judged about the wearing of skulls like that. That's still there. Not the skulls on my body, funny enough. Anything that I wear with skulls.
Yeah.
But I love it dearly, because considering what I knew would happen, and what did happen, it was transformative for me.
Yeah. And I think it's such a beautiful opportunity then to almost invite your mom into your life and try and share yourself with her.
Yes.
And then you having a better connection afterwards.
Correct.
And that's beautiful.
Yes. And I think there's a lot of people out there, that are scared about what their parents will think, what their partners might think, siblings, family overall. I'm not too sure about what friends might think, because, if your friends are going to judge you about your tattoos, I don't think those are your friends.
Yeah.
But considering that you choose them, but I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what it will show. If we look at what that client of yours that got the face tattoo, the first thought is usually people are going to judge him because now he's got this face tattoo, he's not conforming to whatever society wants, but he had a completely different experience towards that. And I think if you just stand up for yourself and take that step. And I know that's easier said than done. I've just told you my story. It's much easier said than done. But understanding who you are doesn't mean that you don't have to get it. It just means if you're going to go around getting it and not showing it, you are still going to be hiding a little bit about who and what you are.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you are actually honestly yourself and you show yourself to the world, and certain people don't like you because of that, I see that as a good thing.
Yes.
Then you need to find new people.
100%.
You need to find people who accept you for who you are, not what you look like or what tattoos you get or whatever. Then you just know you're not in the right circle.
Yes.
I think it's so liberating, definitely. Beautiful.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but my little nephew, he loves my tattoo. So obviously it was literally just my parents that I hid this from, not my siblings and all of that. So when we would go and visit there, he would always be sitting and looking at my tattoos and kind of tracing it with his fingers. And I almost had the idea if I gave him some Cokies or something, he would start colouring it,
yes.
Type of vibe. And him and his mom went to the spa the one day, and they're in the queue, and he's standing there, and this lady walks in, and she also has these leg tattoos. And he's like, Mom, why are her pictures not as pretty as Auntie Leisha's ones?
Shit.
And my sister-in-law just stood there, and she's like, God, I hope she didn't hear this, because, obviously kids are loud and just say stuff. But it was so precious for me to see how somebody that was still that young, I mean, I think he was maybe 4 at that point, 4 or 5 at that point, could appreciate the pictures that he's been drawing with his fingers to look at and all of that, be in a position to not judge it in the concept of, oh, why do they have that? More like, oh, but the pictures aren't as pretty as that one, That was the biggest sin, I almost want to say to it, And that to me is beautiful, that we get into a mindset of not judging somebody purely based on the fact that they've got tattoos, but trying to understand people of they've got it, but there's something that was great or precious or wonderful at that moment as to why they got it, and appreciate that for them.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with you. It's for them.
But I think that's also a thing that happens with people is if you don't accept yourself who you are, you're not going to accept other people for who they are. So that's judgment. I like to think people judging you, they're actually judging themselves.
Yes.
And that's maybe something to take into account when you are worried about what people are going to think of you. They're probably going to think of you what they think of themselves. Either way.
Yes.
If you have tattoos or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be worried of assigning too much meaning. I mean, absolutely, if you've got something that's got very deep meaning for you and you want to get something that represents that for you, do it. But if you want to get something that's really just because it's pretty,
or fun, or silly,
or it makes you happy, do that as well. Because for you, it's about celebrating you and what you like and who you are.
Yes, 100%.
And showing that off to everybody else.
Yeah, and I think with that, the true meaning behind tattoos to me, is freedom. You experience freedom within yourself to be yourself. And that's why I choose to get tattoos, and I think that is absolutely beautiful. That
is actually such a gorgeous concept to think of. That freedom of just being.
And just being free of what society expects of you, or what your family expects of you, or what your upbringing, or your culture, or whatever expects of you. Just becoming free from that, and even if it's the smallest little thing, even the smallest tattoo is a little bit of a pushback from that.
Yes.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Societal expectations.
Yes, It's just saying like, no, you know what, I'm going to do what I want. That's beautiful.
Love that. Please do what you want.
We
will be there supporting you 100%. We will be shouting it loudest from the back, or rather from the front, so that everybody in the back can hear it. Everybody outside can hear it. We will be there to do that. For us, it's about you celebrating who you are and celebrating the fact that you love to have that art on your skin. And showing it off. Show it off.
Yes.
Because you forget 100%. About it. You do. But I think assign your meaning that you want. Chat with your tattoo artist so that they can take that meaning for you and create something beautiful and make something for you that is uniquely you and uniquely what you want. And hopefully we can hear a little bit about some of the meanings that you have, even if it's something that doesn't have meaning, but the fun facts about it. I mean, I
told the circumstances surrounding it.
Exactly. Why? I mean, the one that I love is one that I've got with my best friend. I've got the skeleton with a toaster, with a fork by the toaster. And she's got the one that's got the martini glass and the bleach next to it. And that is our dark humor. It's our friendship tattoo, but that's our dark humor that we have. And it's got no other meaning except that is our connection, our dark humor, and our love for one another. And to me, like, it's something like when we see each other, I almost want to say it's like a a call of a superhero. We were like, yes, 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 you know, and then she's like going on there, and we just like completely lose our minds. But it is something fun that we have together and that we share that experience with.
And you're beautiful.
But yeah, please let us know your story, subscribe, join us again, and it was lovely having you here, and we will see you again soon.
Yay.
Okay, bye.
Titties and